Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 184th episode of our first run through House of Light on YouTube, playing as the archaeologist. And I don't know why it started me here. I'm sure there's probably a good reason. I think there may have been an update to the game as well. Now, I noticed that I don't have anything on my to-do list, but I imagine we still have some stuff to do for the rest of the day. So let's just take a quick look. So I'm noticing here that we've got some sea stories. Now, excuse me. Let me just double check. I believe what I was using the sea stories for was the Pearl and Tide. That's exactly what I'm using it for. Yes, okay. So this suggests to me I should be looking at how I'm going to be improving this further. So we need Moon and Rose. We've got a Confounding Parable. So this will be level 3. So actually, it looks like we're basically in position. And it also looks like we don't have any... excuse me. It also looks like we don't have any books on the go right now. So that tells me that... So first of all, I do know that we want to talk to Ibn al-Adim. I also believe we had some cooking to do. So let me just double check. Well, sorry, it was cooking and then it was also the drinks. Nope, looks like we're mostly good to go there. Now, if memory serves, we were making a cake. Okay, there's the Pyrus Arcalcinus. So I believe here we are already on the way with Denzel. Yeah, the honeyed forbidding. Okay, good. Yes, there's the Cornish honey cake, which I believe is for Douglas. So maybe while we're at it... So we've got Schloss Jennings, which would be probably for Fraser. We've got Coquille's Lambig. Right, we are making the second flush Assam, because that's the only knock drink that we currently have for Daymare. Alright, so we're basically ready to go for the Salon. So the last step here is I've got the leveling that I want to do with Pearl and Tide. So from here I just want to make sure that I'm actually I'm sort of queued up for what I need. So we'll need 1, 2, 3 here, and then from that we're going to need 4. So I can grab a gossip. A gossip and an intuition right off the bat. I'll also set aside 2 fet for the task. Okay. So out of Rose and Moon, so one out of the box option that I have here would be to take the grand piano. We can combine that. I can never remember which one of these it is, but let's take a look. I think Bells and Braziers will actually give me a Wistful Air. Yeah, it's a little overkill. So maybe if I try something a little more modest. Strings and songs? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's 2 of the 4 that I'm going to need, which means actually at that point the Gossip and the Impulse will be exactly what I need. So we'll go for a... I believe in this case the Whist is the best option for me. What I'm trying to do here... Actually, you know what? I can slightly improve this. So if I go to Ambrose's desk... I believe we're on to History to Eternity. So that's for the intuitions. Then we can go to the Vagabond desk here. Sorry, it was intuitions and gossip. Okay, so that'll set me up for the 4 that I need. I'm sorry for all the throat clearing. I just did a huge bout of coughing before starting. So from there, that'll give me what I need to get the remaining levels for Pearl and Tide. So the rest of these elements of the soul are sort of free for the rest of the day. Now, it seems to me the first thing that I want to do here is take care of Crowcross Sands. If we have any time left, that's nice. But right now I just want to get even some basics down. And then here we can use the Walk on the Moor. And because we have some spare time, or spare elements of the soul, we can also do other exploration. So for instance, we can go to the Gull Colony. We can use Phos for that one. It always feels overkill to use Sky Stories, but... And then I believe we can also take advantage of the sea caves in this case. For that, I'll use a Tryst. We can also do a bit of gardening. There is a side of me that would kind of like to talk to the chickens, but I don't think we're quite there yet. The other option, of course, is some gardening. So we've got moth... Actually, you know what? How about we do this? We'll do one of each kind. So cat's claw... Or, sorry, it wouldn't be... I believe it's trumpeter's lily now. So we can do rights the roots here. I don't believe we get the pear. Oh, nope, we do. And then from here we can do proper gardening. That seemed to be a reasonable division of the work. Now, I do... So technically I have 2 FET left in terms of any other of these extracurriculars, but I've got the metal, the whist, and the shaft all sitting sort of unused. Now there are some other things that I can do with this. I could use consider, I could use a few other things. I can also craft, which is something of a temptation right now. So maybe what I'll do here, because we've got the Hall of Voices available, maybe what I'll do is make a Perenculate if I can. Especially because we should have something with the leaf aspect. Okay, none of these flowers count as leaves. Interesting. I think I get caught by some... I think there were some... Yeah. I definitely feel like there were a few of these that were... I think a few of the flowers used to be leaves. Okay. I'm just trying to think what what kind of tasks do I want to do for the rest of the day. You know, we can do some of the fun stuff like play around with the iotic essence because that gets us a letter to Hokabald, but it may not be the most important thing for me to do right now. We're already getting the Wormwood Dream back. I could, in theory, get another Newman. Yes, we've read all of these. Which actually suggests to me I should probably be getting more secrets of the house, but I think I've said that before too. I really feel like there's something obvious I should be doing with my elements here. One of the reasons why I'm sort of hanging on to this for as long as I am is that we're in this nice position now where I can conceivably do those really big, like, make an orphan. Actually, you know what? Okay. So with that in mind, let's make the good old-fashioned OE. And maybe off of that, I'm going to throw another metal. Actually, you know what? I'm going to hang on to the metal just in case we want to make a... I may have actually made a problem for myself here. Because where do I get my iotic essence now? I could transform xanthotic essence, but yeah, I think I got a little too clever for my own good here. Although, in fairness, we have some pretty high value skills. Okay, so Anbury and Lapdary. I would need to find 5 more. I technically do need to put a liquid in, though. So the question would be, what kind of liquid can I toss into this? I don't think I can make this work without... I think I need to do a little too much. Okay, but it's not a complete loss, because one of the things I can do here is I can take the shaft, I can take the glass finger toxin, we add that to maybe surgeries and exsanguinate? Oh, right. Okay. Now I might have to see... But then I think the problem here is that... Okay, no, we can. Ah. Not enough knock. Well, that wasn't what I intended. I don't think I can give up one of the memories here, but I believe I can give up the moth orchid if I... Well, yeah, okay, what exactly am I saving all this stuff on the bridge for? So, there we go. Now, one thing that wouldn't hurt is if I can get a replacement for that... Okay, don't want the secret threshold. I mean, maybe I can get a spare glass finger toxin, but I just don't think I have... I don't think I have what it takes here. What I was hoping for, though, would be... Natan's desk should help with that. Just a bonus amethyst ampule because I used up the one that I wasn't expecting. So again, if it's not clear what I'm doing here, I'm just trying to take this whist and... I'm sorry, excuse me, not this whist. I'm trying to take these elements of the soul and make some of the more difficult to get items out of it. So for instance, one thing that I've got here, I've got a few... or I thought I had... some Solomon's preparation running around. Looks like I actually have less than I thought. But I haven't done Nillicant before. So I'm going to make one of those. And then if I can, with the remaining whist, let's see if we can make a Solomon's preparation. Not with that. And I did use up the... yeah, okay. It did just occur to me that I used up Inks of Containment on some of my explorations. But, okay. Feeling good about this. Make a Cornish honey cake, a dish with heart, lantern, and moth. We'll serve the tea in a little bit. Steam and scent both rise. It is ready. So we'll serve that right away. I believe we only get 2 cups out of this. Pour it out. Yeah. That's fine. We only need the one for Daymare, and then we've got the replacement for next time. Okay, yeah, so we should be getting, yeah, we've got Denzel up to 14, so we'll get him to open the Honeyed Forbidding right away. And what's nice about that is that may give me enough room to do something with the metal. We'll satisfy Dr. Adim on his visit. Craft a Wormwood Dream, let us hope it's equally possible to forget this again. The sustenance has boosted their aspects appropriately. And the skill is now level 3. Its power aspects have also increased. So if I am so inclined, I could... well, one thing I could do is I could use these to try and read more books, but I don't really need to. This is more about leveling up Pearl and Tide. So here's the 3. We'll be getting the remaining memories in a bit. We also have some... we have some wriggle room with the elements of the soul because I can use the Sweet Bones to... we can use the Sweet Bones to restore any elements of the soul if I get caught flat-footed. But my expectation is that we should have the remaining 3 in 30 seconds. Okay, Dr. Ibn al-Adim, the Alapine, historian, doctor, and above all, traveler. The good doctor has been associated with all but one of the libraries of the Watchman's Tree. He was even Secretary Nunciant of Hush House for a little while, but he has never been on good terms with the Suppression Bureau. A conversation with the Alapine. Peace be with you. I ask entry to the house. If there's an incident card active, you can discuss it or leave the slot empty and offer a consultation. So we don't have any incident. I mean, we technically have the counterfeit memory, but that's a Numa event. So here we're just going to chat with Dr. Aladdin. I can identify my visitors' interests and satisfy them with an appropriate book. Alternatively, if they know a language I'd like to learn, I can offer payment. So this would be a 3 rows or 3 scale. I would like to keep kind of a low-level rose... actually, I don't believe there are low-level rose texts. Yeah, it looks like 6 is my lowest. Which is fine. I mean, I don't... if 6 is the lowest, all we're trying to do here is not give away the good stuff right away. So is it just versed, I believe? Yeah. Rose, suitable reading. My visitor wants to talk about Horizons and Hope. The answers can be found in my collection. I believe in some of the blogs that Weather Factory has written on Traveling at Night, for those of you not familiar with Traveling at Night, this is the forthcoming CRPG from the developers of this game. It is due out, I think the development plan is something like 2 or 3 years though, so don't hold your breath for it. But I believe they said one of the words on the board for drafting was hope, so maybe that's a symbol of Horizons coming up. The skill is now level 4, its power aspects have also increased. Now, I was a bit foolish. I should have sent Denzel off to worry about the honeyed forbidding, so we're a bit late on that, but the air is thick with the sense of honey and yew berries, enough to daze the heart and mind. Moving on. Better now. It has its uses, but none of them are simple and few are safe. From History to Eternity, a contraband manual of the Inks of Revelation, the author explains in a brief foreword that she is a high-ranking officer of an agency of the duties, and that though she supports its mission, she has concerns about the long-term consequences of its work. All histories braided into a golden loop, a shining ascent to eternity. I'd never imagined I could be afraid that there might be too few truths. I could be wrong, but I'd like to leave at least one door ajar. Ichor Auroral can be brewed into an Encastum Terminale associated with the Second History, using Inks of Revelation techniques with Rose aspect. The author warns that this is exceptionally difficult since these techniques aren't aligned with Rose, but that's why I'm hoping the door will stay ajar, even once all the others are closed. I wish you luck. So, there's the intuition we were working on. In the mountains as upon the plain, there may not be a path where none has passed. Naingala of Lagash describes the secrets to be found in mountains. Naingala tells a number of lively stories about riddling ogres and wars between mountain tribes, but turns somber in the tale of the empty-handed hunter, a lover of the Grail who sought to match her appetites and join her as an hour, but in the end rent and devoured himself, giving his name to the mountains he had once roamed. Naingala claims that the hours do sometimes manifest as birds. The laughing thrush, the ivory dove, the beach crow, and the witch and sister meet at the secret location on a mountaintop to exchange gossip unheard by their peers. Now and then a mortal overhears them. The mortal is always obliterated, and the meeting place always changed. And finally, the wistful air, let it rise in head and heart, a half-sorrowful music of half-pleasant longing. Alright, once again, we will take the Pearl and Tide, throw some memories at it, throw the fat at it. So satisfying to have come so far. Now, we did just get the sort of birds and the bells, so the aim here is to basically make money. So this is the last chance for me to do that. There's not much there's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 worth of odd jobs. We have, I believe it's a minute for the honeyed forbidding, so we can still try and catalog a book with the metal. Ideally, we would find a use for the fet. It would be a little bit of a risk for me to deploy the fet, but not impossible. I think I'm going to resist that particular urge, though. Although maybe I should try and figure out a memory to keep. Well, I guess we can keep the impulse. Alright, lots of goodies. The skill is now level 5, its power aspects have also increased. So I won't worry about reassigning anything until we've got the full collection of skills. Unexpected finds in the folds of earth and sky. So this is fortunate. Here we can open up the package, crack open the container, delight in your discovery. Alright, this is also a leaf, so this will be helpful for any perenculate in future. In summer, Trumpeter's Lily flourishes like a shout. Moth Orchid is soft as velvet to the touch, except when it changes. Fragrant pears, soft in the hand. Solomon's Preparation. With Keeper-level winter, Solomon's Preparations are a precursor to the Great Ink Nillicant. Carrots, tomatoes, marrows, and blessed onions, all the unsung heroes of the stew pot. Now this is one that I'd actually like to get a little bit more of because we have been drawing down on our reserves of vegetables, and when winter comes we're going to be feeling that a bit more acutely. That's basically 2 seasons where I won't be able to get that. Alright, a wind rumor. I'm not opposed to keeping this in the inventory, seeing as it does... it's not something that I can generate through, through conversation. So, scraps from the Isle's edge. If the cloud were a canvas, who spread it? If the sky were a sheet, who knotted it? A wind rumor is an auspice found in the sky by those who look too long, interpretable only by the wise. And there's our Perinculate. With Keeper level edge, Perinculate is the precursor to Serpent Milk. So we'll probably turn this into Serpent Milk. Can't really think of a lot of... can't think of a lot of edge requirements there. Okay, well, bridge it is. More Ava's Locks. Alright, not a bad haul. And like I said before, I'm going to hold back on using the FET here. I think I feel a little bit better about not risking keeping this overnight, seeing as we do have a salon coming up. How curious! You've satisfied your visitor and earned a reward, but the more they learn, the harder they'll be to satisfy in future. Alright, so one thing I want to do here, now that we've got Aladim and Connie sort of in the same, the potential for my Rolodex, the thing that kept me from putting them, the thing that kind of kept me from adding people to the list right away was I didn't have a yellowing newspaper. So now that I have one of those, my inclination is to start like adding people and inviting them to salons, because I now have another way of generating the occult scrap. But given that I'm going to be using, like I'm going to be leveling up Pearl and Tide in the near future, I'm going to try and find a use for the occult scraps before I fully surrender the option of Aladim and Connie's cards. We've already decided what we want to do with the salon anyway, so I don't feel a particular pressure to get this season's invitations done. But I definitely want to make sure that I'm thinking somewhat intelligently about how I'm making the most of these contacts and the occult scrap in the future. So ideally, I'll find some uses for it so that we can add both people and have the option of inviting them later. All right. And it's just as well that we... Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to risk it with the FET as well. The Chapel Malachite. The Ring-Yu says, never speak of this mystery. When the Thunderskin was mortal, he loved me first, and so the Grail destroyed him. Now the Thunderskin delights forever in my succulence. There is always a renewal, and nothing truly ends. Altar Malachite. Honey, the blood, copper, the heart, you, the root. So it accepts soul, skill, and memory like everything. Heart, moth, and nectar, which you could probably get from the description here. It accepts devotion, so that would be an element of the soul, an omen, sustenance, a mark, or a companion. And remembrance. Flower, memory, fabric, remains, I can never remember this one, root. The feet of a plant, and sustenance. So what I will do here, let's take Ava's desk and the metal. Catalog a Dawn Period book. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's Dawn Period, sometime before the end of the first millennium, commonly reckoned. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. That takes 30 seconds, so now we will go to Natan's desk. It's an apothecary's desk, all right, but dates from at least 100 years after Natan of Regensburg came here. Of course, his son, his grandson, and his great-grandson were all Natan's too. So the risk that I'm running here is that this book is cursed. But I'm feeling lucky. We also have a few other things inside this chamber. So we've got beeswax. It begins as a flower. Lethe, a dark and syrupy liquor favored in unnamed forest villages. Quartz chunk, ice rock, winking light. Curious seashell, Brandkrug is said to lie in the bounds where the world ends. Odd creatures have made their dying way to the beach. Rubywise ruin, a ruddy liquor run from flowers, even when flowers aren't red. Skinchuck mead, a murky, sweet-smelling liquid crowded with sediment. Mortar and pestle, crush. And wolf snow ampule. Far too cold ever to melt in anything but the hottest noonday sun, it will very gradually consume human flesh. And this now leaves the pulsing darkness. If the isle had a heart, we would hear its pulse. So this is the final area for my exploration until we start dealing with the vaults. Oh, sorry, let me deal with these. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. In the name of the two blades that are one, of the threshold which has two sides. It's getting a little crowded here, but I think we can fit one more. Okay. OE. Right, we are running out of space for this. And Nilicant. The Incastum Terminale of the Third History. It's the bleak white-blue of winter. It has spawned an itinerant order of secret celebrants who regard worms as semi-gods and who are sometimes called on to celebrate difficult funerals. Use an Incastum ink with your journal to make determinations and record histories. If the hours listen, the world changes. Nope, I should be... We'll hang on to the wind rumor tonight. And actually, at this point, I should be able to realign my memories. I know we're at the end of the session time-wise, but you can afford a little bit extra. I think that covers it. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7s, up to 8s, and the 9s. Cool. And again, Pearl and Tide's going to be going all the way to level 9, but we'll follow the pattern there. All right. We'll see this through to the end of the day just so that we have a clean slate to work with tomorrow. Also, we get to kind of drop the other shoe as far as the cataloging goes. All right, we've got replacement dandelion wine. So I think we're stocked up in the cellar. Yeah. Now I have an idea of this book's nature and its contents. So where has she gone? The Speeth, perhaps a single adept, perhaps a council of scholars, hypothesizes secret events from limited evidence with persuasive accuracy. One of the rare Sand Stories books. So technically that does work for my Pearl and Tide quest. And the Hissing Key, which was not cursed, an account of the ascent of the hour called the Mother of Ants by the Bossk scholar Mek of the Theban branch of the House of Leith. And I believe because this has a moon side, that will also be useful for Pearl and Tide. Although we don't necessarily need to orient everything around Pearl and Tide. Again, a lot of this will depend on... it'll depend on how many lessons we need at the end of the Salon. So the idea here is that we have Pearl and Tide at level 5. So that will mean 4 more lessons to get it to the top level. I believe the most we can get out of any one book is 3. So we're either looking for sort of 2 intermediate books, or we're looking for 1 big book and then one, one low-level book. Now, again, we're going to wind up reading everything. And I should also mention, the one thing that I haven't been really on top of is we've got a bunch of, films that we haven't seen. And I believe we have exactly 1 phonograph record that I've, quote-unquote, read. But obviously something like Preliminal Meter is quite helpful in the context of Pearl and Tide, just because, like, this is an 18, this is a 16. Like, clearly both of these are going to be fairly high level, readings that can give me, like, they'll give me something useful in the end. Sorry, when I say something useful, I mean, like, it's going to give me a lot of lessons related to, not Inks of Power, related to Pearl and Tide. So technically, if I just read these 2, this would be sufficient, and I just laugh my way to the higher levels, and we can start leveling up things like Inks of Power, etc. But I don't know. All of that will be a tomorrow me problem to work out. Today is Salon Day, so we will get the invitations out. One temptation I have is to try and at least read, quote-unquote, A Tower Falls, because that will allow me to use the Curious Hunch in a way that doesn't involve me just losing this memory to the end of the Salon. The more difficult question is, how do I deal with A Tower Rises? I could maybe try and get a higher level Rose memory from the Stimpfling, but then I run into the problem of, well, what elements of the soul am I giving up to accomplish that? Probably another Shaft. But again, all of that is something that we can deal with in the near future. And on top of that, if I find myself short on elements of the soul, we know we're positioned, except for Pearl and Tide, we're positioned to start committing things to the Tree of Wisdoms in order to get extra elements of the soul. So I believe, I think we've been at this point for a while, but let's say this specific Salon that we'll be doing, I have absolute certainty that we are going to accomplish all of the challenges, short of, the very common problem of me forgetting to follow through on a event or something like that. But I'll try and not have that happen this time around. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I will be back on Wednesday for the next episode, namely our Salon and all of the material that'll happen after that. Until then, take care.